If you've landed on our page, if you've come to the posture movement, chances are you've actually gotten here because every step that has been taken previously has kind of led you back to square one, which is the cookie cutter approach hasn't worked.
We're going to look at the body holistically. So we pay attention to all the different systems and how they're going to work. And we don't want you to focus on the biomechanical. We want you to focus on what you know.
When I first went through this process, when I was a client, I literally sat in front of you and I said, Kai, I'm in pain and my back hurts and this is my story, and you just patiently listened for a good 10 minutes. You said, well, do you always sit on your left hip like that, and is your right shoulder always hiked? And I looked at you saying, no, it's not. But then you take a second and you give yourself presence and you realize that, how did that person just see, I live in my body, how was I not even aware of that? And it was being brought aware, being made self-aware of that, was the first step in me understanding that there's a whole other world of movement out there within my body that I haven't even tapped into yet. And that, I think, is truly the power of all this.
The posture movement is about advocation. It's about you advocating to your health and wellness care specialists what you feel is going on, rather than what we see in the Western medical society most specifically, which is a doctor or some specialist telling you what's going on with you. We expect you to know the answer, and even when you think you don't, we just expect you to observe what you feel. And that expectation is not one that qualifies whether you're right or wrong. They're your feelings, so we expect that they're right. What that means is not necessarily doing functional motion screens that you might see in a gait analysis or a golf expertise. We want you to be able to sit down and pay attention to your balance centers, to feel the bottoms of your feet and notice if there's more weight distribution on one side versus the other. And then not just being able to observe differences in the two sides of your body or the front and the back, but also being able to take action on top of that. So what we're really talking about, again, is observation and action. Let's try it. So for 10 seconds, what I'd like you to do, close your eyes and just feel the weight distribution underneath you. The two bones underneath you, your sits bones, or your ischial tuberosities, those are your femur bones. It's basically what you feel underneath your pelvis. That's about 10 seconds, and don't qualify whether or not you're balanced. Just say out loud which side is heavier. Now, if you're in our more mature population and you have a degenerative hip, most likely you're still sitting on that side. That question is something that we generally don't even ask ourselves. Why am I still sitting on the hip that's degenerative? How come I still lean to the shoulder that has the labral tear or the rotator cuff injury? How come I still use that side more? It's not your handedness. The dominance in the ability for you to use one side or articulate one hand versus the other doesn't mean that that side's going to break down faster. It doesn't mean that it works more. It just means that you use it more often. You could still be imbalanced elsewhere.
You can understand the physics that make a bicycle move. You can understand gravity and uphill and downhill forces, but all of that understanding into how a bike works and all the physical, forces around them, even though you understand all of that, there is something called a phenomenon, and the phenomenon happens when you actually put your leg over a bicycle seat, you grab the handlebars, and you start pedaling. And there's that brief moment of uncertainty where all of a sudden all these forces of gravity and science and mechanics, they come together in one beautiful single moment, and then you start riding the bike. And it's natural. How you make the change and how you have that phenomenon with yourself when it comes to riding a bicycle or fixing your pain, it starts with you metaphorically putting your leg over the seat and grabbing the handlebars. Except with us, it's picking up a phone and calling. And either coming down and seeing us in person or tuning in online. That's you actually starting to put your foot on the pedal. And then we might kind of stand behind you and we're going to give you a little push and something amazing is going to happen. You're actually going to start moving. And you're going to move faster than you thought, faster than expected, because it's something that you've never done before. And then all of a sudden, like I said, everything is going to snap together. You might not know how, you might not know why, but you're moving, and that's the most important part. And that's what we do here.